I've been on the road for a few days now. The village headman said that only in this monastery would I find a decent place to stay. Unfortunately, I was overtaken by a heavy downpour on the way. The horse got soaked along with me and my clothes. My faith in God has never been strong. Nevertheless, I sincerely prayed to him to show me the right path. It was only at the end of the journey that I could find peace, protection, and worldly happiness. That's what I thought at the time. A loud knock sounded from the oak door, then again, and more. There was no one outside the door. It seemed that they decided to remain silent on the other side and pretend that no one was there. But it just seemed that way. "Open up, please," I begged. "I have nowhere else to go. I pray for the sake of God and this holy church." The answer was silence, broken by raindrops running down the drain. I was desperate, as much as any woman could find herself in it, practically penniless, having lost faith and hope for the best. Soaking wet and frozen, I just wanted to howl, cry, and curse everything. I was about to start when suddenly the doors opened, and a nun dressed in white and black robes came out to meet me. She looked at me and nodded curtly. Then she went inside, leaving the door open. I took it as a sign. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I didn't need a special invitation either. The main thing was that I was heard. They let me in. It was much warmer inside than outside. The woman was walking down the corridor without asking me anything. I didn't ask back. But deep down I was asking myself, why did I have to stand and wait so long? Is it really for the sake of testing my strength and faith? And if so, why would I have to prove anything when it took me more than a month to get here? I couldn't even find an answer for myself. Asking questions of the woman who let me into this shrine was bad form. At least inwardly, I felt that it would be superfluous to ask any questions. As we moved through the well-lit, torch-lit corridor, I gradually warmed up. Even though I had some doubts about my decision to come here, and not to some hospital or a center for desperate women, I gradually accepted it. 2 minutes later, we arrived at the dining room. It was decorated with various tapestries depicting female knights, female nuns, and peasant women. Torches burned here and there, illuminating the space. There were also wooden tables and benches, as if another film about the ancient Middle Ages was being shot here. It was only half full. Women of different ages were sitting there. Someone looked like me, 26. Others are in their 30s or older. "It's like a witch's coven, not a monastery," I muttered, smiling. The woman who brought me here looked at me very menacingly, even with barely noticeable contempt. But she didn't say anything. I felt embarrassed myself. Who am I to judge these people, especially considering that I'm a foreigner here myself? Surely each of these women had their own reasons for coming here, just like I have them now. Without waiting for an answer, I sat down on a wooden bench next to several young girls. They tried not to pay attention to me, continuing to eat quietly and calmly. I looked into the bowl of one of the girls and saw a delicious-smelling chicken soup with noodles. I remember my mom used to make me one when I was a kid. I tried to start a conversation with the girl closest to me. Unfortunately, I was ignored, and even, as it seemed to me, they moved a little to the side. Soon everyone finished their dinner, or was it lunch, I don't remember, and left the dining room. Not knowing where to go, I stayed where I was. For some reason, it seemed to me that someone was bound to come for me. And I was not mistaken. As soon as I picked up the phone, I was saddened to discover that it was locked from the rain, as a pair of warm female hands fell on my shoulders. "You'll have to give up your phone, dear lady. Everyone who enters our monastery must voluntarily renounce everything that connects him with the outside world." To be honest, I didn't even immediately find what to say to that. Instead of answering, I turned around and saw a nun a little older than me, but at the same time, an incredible aura of wisdom and warmth emanated from her. If you have ever met such people, then you will understand me. If not, then I will try to describe in more detail. With such people, it feels like at their request alone you are ready to rush into the embrasure or listen to any of their words with reverence and without a shadow of doubt. By the way, it is these people who most often use their charisma to deceive others, rather than for creation and piety. Whatever you say. In general, I knew what I was doing, I replied. And then she continued, "If this step provides me with warm shelter, hot food, and good company, then I'm all for it." Anyway, this device doesn't work anymore. Did you really know what you were doing? And where exactly were you going? The girl smiled, asking two seemingly ordinary questions. I think I knew. You see, I got into a not very pleasant story, and one gypsy girl suggested to me that here I would find not only a way out of my problems, but also an opportunity to start all over again. Well, I don't have a husband anymore. I didn't have time to have children, but I ran around a lot. Where else would I go but here? The nun listened attentively to my story, nodding occasionally. Looking at her, I wanted to tell her all my secrets. For some reason, I felt that they would accept me and let me stay, even if I confessed to killing a man. My silent companion put her hands on mine and gently began to stroke them. I stopped talking instantly, frozen. On the one hand, I felt the warmth of those touches. On the other, I felt awkward. Hadn't I come to some place where 18-plus videos were often shot and all the people here were actresses for women's love games? As if reading my mind, the girl across from me smiled and said, "Oh, please don't think that you are in something forbidden. There is nothing here that could turn you off. We are not a coven of witches, as you recently expressed aloud to our spiritual sister Aurelia. We are not a studio for shooting these wicked and corrupting mind and soul videos, but we are not an institution of noble maidens either. It just so happens that this place is a gathering point for all those women who, for some reason, were unlucky in life. Everyone who enters here throws back the ghosts of the past and the many fetters that prevent them from moving on. Here they find refuge, humility, and the opportunity, as you correctly noted, to start over with a clean slate. But this is not so easy to do either. It's easy to say, put aside your past, live in the present, and humbly accept the future. It's quite another matter to follow this advice. Therefore, young lady, I advise you to think carefully. Are you ready to stay here, accept our customs, and live, dedicating your life to the service of the Lord, the Father of our light?" The nun finished speaking, and I was really thinking. As I said earlier, there's nothing keeping me behind these walls, beyond them, I mean. But can I live far from civilization? This place inspired trust and distrust at the same time. In fact, all I know about this monastery is that everyone is welcome here, regardless of who you were before. It's good for me, because no one will ask unnecessary questions. My companion, on the other hand, waited humbly and quietly for an answer. I was waiting for him too, but from myself, because the choice really wasn't very easy. But did I lose anything? I probably just bought it. I agree. I'm ready to take all the necessary vows, make promises, and just become someone I'm not yet. Oh, that's very good, my dear. Truth. We've been waiting so long for someone who would say that without a single doubt. She said it ominously, with a hint of a grin and a kind of strange joy. Or was it my imagination? No, yes, of course. I trailed off, and then she continued, "How should I address you, young lady?" I gave her back her address to me. The girl was not embittered. She understood the joke. Inwardly, I breathed a sigh of relief. Well, at least one of the people I met in this monastery had a sense of humor. "You can call me Sister Aurora." "I've never heard of that name. Is it a real name or a pseudonym?" "Everyone who enters here has the privilege to change their name. I can't even remember my own, even though I came here about 2 years ago." "I understand you, Sister Aurora. Kitty God. I even like to call her by her first name. How much charisma does she have? Well, then I'll be called—" "Not now. Don't tell me the name you've chosen until you've been initiated." "A rite?" "Exactly. It will happen very soon. The other sisters are just preparing him." "And what will I need to do there?" "Oh, don't worry. All you have to do is make a few promises, a couple of vows, and tell everyone the name you've chosen. Then we'll show you to your cell, and you can rest." "When can I eat?" My stomach was just rumbling treacherously. "As soon as you get your cell at your disposal. We have a lot of space, so each of our sisters has her own room, although sometimes sisters ask to live together, due to different circumstances." Here Sister Aurora smiled again. Only this time the smile was somewhat evocative of the natural desire that one woman can generally arouse in another. I got it. I think I blushed a little. My sister nodded at me and got up from the bench. "Well, then let's go. We have to go." I stood up after her. My clothes are a little dry. Jeans, however, should be ironed or dried altogether. A cardigan and a rain jacket, even it didn't save me from the downpour that was outside, are generally good to put near the heater, if there was one, or at worst by the fireplace. As if reading my doubts, Aurora said, "During the initiation, we will give you our casual clothes. You and only you will take care of her. This is how we teach everyone living here, that even though we live as one family, everyone looks after their clothes themselves. I understand you. I'll be able to put things in the washing machine." She laughed. "Oh no, we do everything manually here. I didn't just say that we're giving up everything that connects us to the outside world. That's how it is. And how do you find out what's going on in the world? What if a nuclear war starts there? Or a zombie uprising, or eggs become 75 rubles per unit? The latter could happen much sooner than anything else. We are closed from the world. The world is closed off from us," was the only phrase she uttered. We didn't talk anymore. We also walked along a corridor lit by torches. And although I was curious how long they could burn, I still felt sick at the thought of someone manually lighting them all the time. I hope that this job will not be given to me. After a while, we came to 2 iron doors. Why the hell would a monastery need such doors? I didn't know then. If I could, I wouldn't even try to find out. Sister Aurora knocked twice, first with her knuckles and then with her open palm. It looked like a code. A minute later, the doors slowly but without creaking, although I expected it, began to open. There was a goblet in the center, and around it were people dressed in black robes. The hall was lit by a multitude of candles and the already familiar torches on the walls. As soon as Aurora and I stepped inside, a chorus of female voices began to sing. It was very melodious, soothing and soothing. For some reason, I wanted to join him too, even though I didn't know the words or the notes. "Welcome our new novice, sisters." There was a loud voice from somewhere above. I looked towards the sound and saw another floor above me. Apparently, it was there that the choir of so intriguingly singing women was located. Glory to the light! All those who stood in the center responded synchronously. What was happening fascinated me. I felt like the main character of some movie or TV series that I always loved watching with my husband. Aurora took my arm and led me to the center. The other sisters made way for us, and the choir continued their chanting. When we reached the cup, the chorus stopped as suddenly as it had begun. Then someone I'd heard before spoke up. "Today is a great day, sisters. Today, another desperate soul has come to our humble abode which we must save. If, of course, that soul wants to be saved by itself." There was an awkward silence. I could feel everyone looking at me with my whole body. Apparently, they were waiting for an answer from me. "Yes, I want to be saved," I said. I don't know if that was the right answer or not, but I noticed Aurora nodding at me with a smile and then standing in a circle with the others. "In that case, you have to make some vows." "Do you agree to this, you lost soul?" "Yes, I agree. So be it." "The first oath, do you swear to protect the secrets of our monastery?" "I swear it. So be it." "The second oath, do you swear to honor our traditions, no matter how strange they might seem to you?" "I swear it." "So be it." "Third oath, do you swear to devote yourself to the service of the Father of our Light and to devote at least 1 hour a day to prayer, but no more than 30 minutes at night?" "I swear," although this wording seemed very strange to me. "So be it." "The fourth and final oath, do you swear to seek darkness in the light and light in the darkness?" "I swear. I wish I knew what I was signing up for." "So be it." "Now sit in the center and tell your story. What brings you here? What made you give up everything that was dear to you?" "I don't need to sit down. My story is as simple as the world itself. Love. That's my answer to you." This call to tell about myself both angered me and at the same time allowed me to be a little bold. I may have sworn, but I'm not ready to share my story with all of them yet. Not now. After my answer, the sisters gasped at the same time, but no one bothered me anymore. "So be it." "Have you chosen a name for yourself?" "Please call me Elizazdra. Eliza, for short, is a name I liked because of a board game that I often got involved in when I was still in school with my classmates." And again, a strange sigh swept through the hall. A draft that came from nowhere made my skin crawl. In some places, the candlelight moved as if an invisible hand had passed over them. "So be it." The voice seemed to falter a little. I turned to Aurora and saw that she was smiling at me. This time her smile was not only warm and discouraging, but also showed a certain approval. I smiled back at her. One of the sisters separated from the circle. I noticed the package she gave me in her hands. "Here are your clothes, sister." She whispered these words to me with some reverence. I nodded curtly and accepted the package. "The initiation ceremony is over, sisters. You can go now. This also applies to you, Sister Eliza." After that, the choir began to sing again. I was interested in the cup in the center. Something drew me to him, but I couldn't figure out what it was. To be honest, I thought there was wine or some other drink that would complete my initiation. Well, as it was shown in various movies. Thinking about it, and listening to my stomach rumble, I looked inside the goblet, but there was nothing there. I even sighed with some disappointment. Aurora, who hadn't left yet, was watching me closely. I realized it when she came up and said, "It is used for other ceremonies. What are you forcing the Virgin Sisters to drink someone's blood?" I said sarcastically. "It would be interesting if it were true," she said mysteriously. "Let's go. I'll show you your cell." Sister Aurora took my arm and we walked on. It wasn't until the doors closed behind us that I realized I couldn't hear the choral singing anymore. It made me feel sad right away. The sisters sang very beautifully. We walked in silence, each lost in her own thoughts. And when they came to a small door, Aurora opened it. It was quite cozy inside. A small bed, a bedside table next to it, a lattice window, behind which you could still hear the sound of the rain that had not stopped. I sat down on the bed and put a bundle of clothes there. And then she looked at Aurora questioningly. She judged my opinion correctly. "Don't worry. Since you missed our lunchtime, our sisters have prepared dinner especially for you. Especially for me." I was surprised by such generosity. "Of course, you're one of us now. Someone's going to knock on your door. I'll see you tomorrow, Eliza." Aurora winked at me and closed the door behind her. I stared at the door for a long time and listened to the footsteps behind it. They subsided quickly enough, so I had to settle for the sounds of rain. And although the walls in my cell were cold enough, I was warm. Without hesitation, I took off all my clothes, which had barely dried in a warm room. First, I dropped my jeans to the floor, then my underwear flew away, and after a while, my jacket and cardigan. I really liked the nun's clothes. The bundle contained everything you needed: fresh, clean linen, a robe, a belt, an apostolic, and a wooden comb. All this helped me to put myself in order. I also found a mirror in the bedside table, which helped to make sure that I looked not only decent, but also sexy enough. At such a moment, I was even a little upset that there were no men in this monastery. At least, I haven't seen any of them. It's a pity. I would have tried to flirt with a couple. If, of course, they would be worthy of my attention. I was distracted from contemplating myself in a small mirror by a knock on the door. This time, it was a very ordinary knock, without any patterns. I just shouted at him, "Come in." The door opened, and two very sweet and beautiful nun sisters entered the room. I didn't know their names, but I noticed that they were looking at me very kindly. "I'm Sister Xandra, and this is Sister Elena. We brought you dinner." "I'd like to eat an elephant," I said with a smile and laughed. The girls laughed in response. "Well, we don't have an elephant, of course, but it's also very tasty. There is a pea soup, a couple of slices of bread, and a jelly made from fertile berries." Listening to Elena's list of my dinner, my stomach rumbled harder. Sister Xandra, completely covered by her robe, put the dinner tray on the bedside table, bowed to me, and went to the door. Elena stood and watched everything and then followed her. They both winked at me. And if it wasn't my imagination, Elena, 6 feet tall, with a snub nose and brown hair, licked her plump lips, looking at me. I politely smiled back and bowed. When the door closed, I finally exhaled. On the one hand, I liked everything here, even if it was my first day. And, as it turned out, they even cooked delicious food. On the other hand, some of the women here clearly had less than sisterly feelings for each other. Some even looked at me with such hunger that sometimes I didn't know where to put myself. Aurora was probably the only one holding back her thoughts as she looked at me. But she also exuded a strange energy. Thinking about all this, I didn't notice how I ate my dinner. The feeling of warm food in my stomach made me feel sleepy. Already falling into the arms of Morpheus, a strange thought crept into my mind. Could the food have been poisoned? Of course, I didn't have time to develop it. The long fatigue, the cold of the rain, and all the impressions and trials I had endured began to take their toll. I woke up in the middle of the night. The tales of nightmares were already slipping away in my head, which I couldn't catch in any way, but which woke me up. Owls I hadn't seen were singing outside the window. A clear ray of moonlight penetrated into my room and illuminated it. I wanted to get up, but I couldn't move. My hands were tied to the headboard of the bed. There was something like a gag in my mouth that stopped me from screaming. Panicked thoughts swarmed in my head. I didn't know what to do, who to turn to, how to get free, and she would have kept trying until she heard Aurora's voice. "Hush, hush, my dear. No one's going to hurt you. At least for now," she smiled her disarming smile again, and I stopped trying to do anything. Aurora, meanwhile, came closer to me and touched my cheek with her warm palm. She swiped it up and then down. In the dark, I could see her eyes sparkling with indescribable happiness and something else, something very alien to me. "You probably think that you're dreaming all this and the food was poisoned? No and no, neither one nor the other. Everything is happening here and now, my bird. You were wrong when you said we were a coven of witches or a sect. We are ordinary nuns who worship and serve the Father of Light, Satan himself. This is one of his many names. It's just that someone thinks he's the father of darkness, but we think otherwise. Once a month we sacrifice lost souls to him. Very rarely our sisters receive this honor. Oh, some of them almost stand in line to be in the place of the one who is destined to see the Father of Light firsthand. And then you came. Yes, and she chose such a name for herself. Did you know that the name Elizazdra belongs to one of the devil's wives? You don't know? Well, now the truth is in your head. And in my heart," she continued, stroking my face as she said all this, and I listened to her and couldn't move. It all seemed like some kind of malicious joke. But what about that gypsy woman's stories that I'll find peace here? What about the opportunity to start from scratch? Is it all a lie and a provocation, and did I just fall into the clutches of psychopaths? On the other hand, it explains why no one has ever returned from here. And all these rumors, they're just rumors. I bet the nearest village doesn't even know what's going on here. And if he suspects, he doesn't stick his nose into local affairs. I mumbled, trying to protest. But they didn't let me say anything. On the contrary, Aurora sat on my lap and ran her hands over my arms. And she continued, "Honey, you have a special honor in store for you. Of course, the sacrificial ceremony was supposed to take place a week later, but all of us, even me, couldn't wait." Aurora smiled, saying the last words. It both scared and intrigued me at the same time. Damn, I'm completely floating my head. We need to fight! We need to fight! I thought to myself. But Aurora's charming voice killed any desire in me to rebel and fight. To confirm this, Aurora took out a bottle of something from the folds of her robe. She loosened the gag a little and poured the contents into my mouth. It tasted very sweet, turning sour. "Rest for now, Sister Eliza. I'll see you again soon." And I fell asleep. I woke up after a while. Blinking away my dream, I realized that they were singing again. The same choir that I had previously liked and which now announced my imminent demise to everyone. I still wanted to scream, squirm, swear. But the chorus caressed my ears and calmed me down. It was as if Aurora was sitting next to me and stroking my face with her warm hands. The sisters. The time has come to bestow the Father of our Light. Sister Elizazdra voluntarily agreed to this step. She made vows. She's here in front of you. May we thank our sister. Glory to the Father of Light. Glory to our sister. The women in the ceremonial hall shouted in unison. The echo of the voices did not drown out the singing choir, but it increased my thirst to surrender to the fate I had chosen for myself. Let's thank the fates for giving us this girl, sisters. Glory to you, fate. Thank you, sister. The synchronized scream again. It was mesmerizing. I didn't want to resist. On the contrary, just give your all. My whole soul, body, and heart. A girl detached herself from the circle around me. It was Aurora again. She looked like Charon from ancient Greek legends, who escorts the soul of the deceased along the river Styx. Apparently, she was going to do the same to me. "I'm sure the Father of Light will be glad to see you in your soul," she said. The chorus of singing intensified. Now it was a disorderly chant, which was so chaotic that it seemed as if the participants of the chant wanted to get in time, but they couldn't do it. Aurora took the cup from one of the sisters' hands. It was Elena, who looked at me with a look of lust, and envy. Aurora nodded gratefully at her and spilled the contents of the goblet on me. It was blood. It's viscous, scarlet, and for some reason it smells delicious. The world spun around me. I wanted to sing, dance, cry, scream, and run in terror. I wanted to rejoice, moan, shout obscenities at everyone and everything, laugh hysterically. My mind was swimming. I was swimming, too, on a river of blood. Meanwhile, Aurora took a dagger from the hands of another of the sisters. She made 2 cuts on my cheeks with them. My blood combined with the ceremonial blood, and that made it even more scalding than before. The chorus intensified. The sisters around joined in the singing, too. Aurora also sang, and she looked at me with respect, envy, and joy. I looked back at her, into her eyes. Then she raised the dagger over me. It was as wonderful to see as it was terrible. My life didn't flash before my eyes, no. On the contrary, she felt so full of something, and absolutely not meaningless. It's like I've been waiting my whole life to be sacrificed by this coven of demon worshippers. The blade plunged into my stomach. I wanted to scream in pain, but I couldn't. And then she completely lost consciousness. Somewhere out there, in the darkness, I could still hear the sisters' choir. I heard Aurora's charming voice guiding my soul on its final journey. I heard, "Elizabeth, is that you, my love?" Like a bolt from the blue, another voice rang out, completely unlike anything else. It clearly belonged to a man. Yes. As you can see, I don't see it, I just feel it. After all, you're only half in my dimension so far. What brings you here again? The coven. I do not know. Fate? Life? Death? I was confused. It felt like they weren't happy about my appearance, but on the contrary, they were more surprised. Our history came to an end thousands of years ago. You're not welcome here. Lilith won't be happy. And you? I asked. I felt sad. In worldly life, my husband left me because of his mistress, and then I killed him by cutting his throat with a sharp razor until he choked on his blood. And she ran without looking back. Now, I'm not welcome here either, that I didn't find happiness there, that here, at the cost of other people's efforts. I'll be glad to, but not now. Later, when you and the world are ready. In the meantime, get rid of them. From whom? From the sisters, of course. They really got to me. I'll let you. Your soul has always longed to kill someone. Right now, there is such an opportunity. The darkness receded. Internally, I felt even happier and more joyful. This is how only those who get rid of the shackles of morality and generally accepted principles feel. Consciousness returned to me as the choir continued to sing. The sisters were already leaving until my loud laughter made them all stop. Oh no, my dears, you're not going anywhere. And you won't leave. You should be dead! Aurora, who was already standing on the floor above, shouted hysterically. Apparently, I interrupted her conversation with one of the choir members. Let's say I've been given a very funny carte blanche, I grinned cheerfully and freed my hands. And then she pulled a dagger out of her stomach. With satisfaction, I noticed that the wound had healed. I also started to hear and feel everything more acutely. I could literally hear everyone's fear. No matter how brave they were scared that I wasn't dead. I liked their realization even more that I was here to take revenge. Well, ladies, shall we play? I exclaimed cheerfully and immediately plunged a dagger into the head of one of the sisters who was standing next to me. It was Elena who was holding the goblet. The cup itself had just started to fall when I picked it up and threw it with all my might into the crowd of sisters standing at the exit. This object is like a cannonball passed through these girls and women. There was shouting and panic in the audience, and I reveled in it all. I enjoyed the fact that I had every right to kill them all, and I killed. She tore with her claws, gnawed with her fangs, she cut with a dagger. I was begged for mercy. They begged for forgiveness, but I didn't hear it. I was just enjoying what I loved the most since there were still demons walking the earth. It took me no more than 15 minutes to carve out the entire coven. I found every soul, kicked down every door, but she left only one person alive for last. I've been talking to the Father of Light, Avi, I purred softly. He was disappointed with your little company. He said you were really annoying him, and he let me kill you all. It's great, isn't it? I ran a bloody claw across her cheeks, making the same cuts she'd made earlier. Damn, I really wanted to turn over a new leaf. What a pity it didn't work out. On the other hand, all this allowed me to open up my inner energies and reserves, to feel like who I really am again. Now Aurora was listening to me without interrupting. She huddled in a corner of her cell. She had a panic attack, but I wasn't going to help her. Instead, I squatted down in front of her. Even though my robe was covered in blood, I still enjoyed the smell of this life-giving moisture. "Here we are, my sweet sunshine," I said. "But don't worry, you will die in a different way. But medieval, may the Holy Inquisition bless your soul." There was a lot of sarcasm and as much truth in my voice. Aurora didn't immediately understand what I meant, and when I realized, it was too late. In the blink of an eye, I returned to her cell with a torch, a couple of corpses, and a barrel of animal fat. I left all this in the center of the room and went out, closing the door behind me. I propped the door itself with a bench from the dining room. When I left, I still heard pleas for help and a request for mercy in exchange for eternal service. But when have we demons ever been interested in something like this? I found a fresh and clean set of clothes in one of the basement rooms. I changed into it, taking off my blood-stained clothes, and then she headed for the exit, absolutely in no hurry. When I went out into the fresh air, I could still hear Aurora's screams. I smiled at these screams and went down to the village, and if you think that I also cut out the villagers, then you are deeply mistaken. They didn't do anything wrong to me. The temple is closed from the world. The world is closed from the temple. That's for sure now. As for me, look around. Perhaps I am walking somewhere among you, waiting for the appearance of my betrothed?